Hey, what it do? Making the Case episode. Episode 16. Yeah. Make sure my volume is all the way up. All right. What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing today? Thank you guys so much. Get situated. How's y'all week going so far? Again, welcome for you guys. This is Making the Case. I'm your host, the one and only Anthony Denmark like the country, where our goal, of course, is to be able to help you guys manifest and bring your lawyer dreams to life. I know today we have a lot of things on tap. I know a lot of people are at different stages of wherever they are in their journey. But first off, I want you guys to tell me how you're doing, all right? I want you to give me thumbs up if you're doing good. I want you to give me thumbs down if you're not doing good, and tell me what's going on so we can make things better. But nevertheless, I also want you guys to let me know where it is that you're viewing our session from. Of course, I'm holding it down here in the Midwest, holding it down in Missouri. So where are you viewing our session from? So we got someone that got the thumbs up. That's good. I know today has been a big day for a lot of people. Either one, you got your scores back, and so you're excited. I got a couple of those people who were excited. I also got a couple people who got the scores back, and it really wasn't vibing like they wanted it to do. And so they're trying to figure out what to do. We got Philly in the house. What's going on? All right. And so wherever you are in your process, one of the things I always tell you guys, okay, so Marquita says she's doing okay. Seagal James said she's doing okay. Philly in the house. We got LA in the house. All right. And so I want you guys, because oftentimes when we go throughout the day, y'all, we never ask people, how y'all doing? We just say we're good. But nevertheless, I know while we're on this journey, man, there's a lot of highs. There's a hella bunch of lows. And a lot of times you're just really trying to make it through each day. And some days are harder than others. And so one of the reasons why, of course, we created Becoming JD is to become a resource, not only to help you navigate your journey, but also to help you along the way of trying to cope with some of the stresses that come your way. And so for tonight's show, I'm always excited. We've been really blessed this season, you guys. We've been really, really blessed in launching Becoming JD's Making the Case series. We've been blessed with having guests come on, bringing energy, bringing stories to be able to help you guys learn how to navigate your own journey. And I hope it's been something that's been rewarding for you, because it's definitely been a treat blessing for me to be able to have these guests come on and share their stories. Because at the end of the day, we got Nashville in the house. What's going on, April? At the end of the day, our goal is to let you realize that no matter the challenges that you're going through, that there's somebody else out there who's either gone through that same exact challenge that made it through, right? And so if you get a chance, you can go back through the podcast. You can go back and see the previous episodes to be able to realize that whatever you're going through, there's somebody else that's been through that same thing. And so on today's show, I'm excited. We're going to be having an attorney who's doing amazing things. Sis just hung her shingle. She is definitely goes for a lot of people. And I'm going to see if I can go ahead and get her, send my request to her, so we can go ahead and get her on. But one of the things that I also try to make sure I do every show is wherever you are in your process, I want you to be able to reach out to me and say something in the chat box about something that you may need help with. Because one of the things I tell people is I want to make sure that you and I learned something to help me learn how to navigate this journey, right? And so that's what I did. A lot of my posts that I just did today, and I have a couple of other posts coming out for you guys tomorrow. So wherever you are in your journey, I want to make sure that you guys are able to get the assistance you need, okay? So fill my chat box up. One of the things I love about our community is not only if I'm talking during the session, somebody else in our tribe will probably answer the question too. So I don't want you guys to feel as if you have to sit there and struggle in silence. Ask the question and fill up my chat box. We got OKC in the house. Who else we got in the house? We got Nashville in the house. We got Philly in the house. Who else we got? We got Texas in the house. That's fantastic. And so one of the things we're going to do as we wait for our guests to come is I want to make sure that I'm all about trying to make sure that you guys have information and resources, okay? Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you are very, very informed about what's going on, right? And so like right now, I think I just made a post for you guys for an event that's taking place tomorrow, and it's free 99. It's in the stories in my IG. And I also sent my first email blast out in forever ago. So make sure you guys check it out. And also it's going to be an assistant dean at Chicago Kent Law School who's going to be speaking tomorrow. And I put the link in the bio and I put the link in the stories, and it's free 99. And I want to make sure that a lot of you guys are out there, because I honestly feel that when it comes down to getting into law school, it's really about, one, learning the language, and two, also about making sure that you learn how to network and build meaningful relationships. Now, I know one of the things that happened this week, which I love, is two of my phenomenal sisters-in-law, which I call you guys brothers and sisters-in-law, were able to connect in New York. And I'm so excited because I love to see how our community is starting to grow. We're starting to help each other and work together and partner with each other to reach our goals. And so they met up in New York, and I know I have a couple other people that met up in Philly. And so I'm happy to see you guys, our community, growing and continue to work together. What's going on, Shiante? What's going on, Carlos? And to my people out there who are preparing for finals, I want to tell you guys I'm wishing you nothing but sending prayers and positive vibes your way, because, again, that's something that we're going to always need. And so I'm really, really excited about today's show. And in addition to that, as we continue to wait for Amber to come on, I want to make sure you guys go to the link in the bio and sign up for that opportunity. Again, you're going to get a chance to talk to an assistant dean of a law school. I don't care if you're not interested in the Chicago Kent School of Law, but nevertheless, you got to make sure that you're there to get an opportunity to find out what the vibe is, to find out what the opportunities are. Realize this, man. We are in a different day and age, right? We're in a day and age now where affirmative action is no longer in place. And so one of the things you got to be able to understand, Jay Cruz, one of the other things you got to understand, Giante, is how are these law schools thinking? Because if it's 1819, if we know how these law schools are thinking, then we know how to be able to create a strategy to make sure that we're doing everything that these law schools are looking for, especially if it's a school that we want to go to, but also especially if it's a school, period, because a lot of these schools are starting to think alike, okay? And I know right now, one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about, I was going to make a video on it, but I guess we're here now, so I can tell you guys. One of the things, Javon, what's going on, bro? I want you guys to think about is, listen, one of the things I've started to say is this. I said the phrase, we must confirm everything. We must confirm everything, okay? And what I mean by that right now is that we're in a day and age. Now, one of the things I was doing with some of my students this week is we was literally going through the applications. And Javon, I want you to check this out. Bradshaw, I want you to hear this out, okay? If you're applying to law schools, I want you to go pull up the website for the law schools to see what they require. I'm talking about every detail, okay? I'm talking about pages. I'm talking about double space, because some law schools require double space, while other law schools require single space. Those are different essays. Those are different things that you're going to be bringing out based off of those particular details. But also, one of the things I've started to find out is that, guess what? Some law schools may provide details on the website that you may not find on the Law School Admission Council website when you pull up the application. So that means what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to be diligent. And one of the things I says, here, receive what everybody says, but always call and confirm. So that means before you click submit on these law school apps, you guys, I truly want you to call and confirm. To confirm, one, what are the page number requirements? Two, what do we need spacings? Three, what are our margins? Now, of course, to all my lawyers out there, we know that these are something that aspiring lawyers are going to learn about when they get their blue books, right? When they start law school. But nevertheless, these are things that you may consider to be insignificant, but they're going to be important. Because GQ Swervo, there may be a law school that may literally say double space, and you submit single space. And you know what that's going to say to them, GQ Swervo? This fam don't know how to follow directions. And so we want to make sure that we're being very, very careful and being very, very intentional for every school. We cannot We cannot just walk through this process and just make assumptions. You cannot make assumptions because you can find yourself screwed. Because one of my students, we literally had to go all the way back. So we done got the application done. We got everything set. Then we said, hold on, let's go look at these applications and see what the requirements are. I mean, we got the applications in single space. We're like, oh, this is fire. Then we had to go back because guess what? They required double spaced. They required 11 size font. They required a certain type of margin. And we weren't in compliance. So what you guys have to understand, what's going on, Nancy, is that if in fact we are not in compliance with the rules that the law schools have laid out for us, it may not matter what our LSAT scores are. It may not matter what our GPA is. That could literally be an automatic denial, okay? And of course, your boy, that happened to me when I applied to law school the first time. And so we have to make sure and take some time to actually go through the application itself. And I know sometimes, Nancy, that shit could be nerve-wracking. It could be nerve-wracking. It could be very, very scary to actually go through the application. I spent an entire hour going through an application with a couple of students last week. And I know, but we have to be able to look at those details because those details are what are going to matter one day when you're a lawyer representing a client. And because you paid attention to those details, and it's the reason why you're going to get into law school, okay? Because we can't have everybody singing the praises of GQ Swervo and fam ain't even following the directions that law school laid out. Because rules are going to have to matter. Let's see if we get Nancy back on, okay? Let's see here. What do y'all think about what I just said? Y'all understand what I'm saying? And I know it's going to be time consuming, but understand this, you are worth that extra time. And I don't want you to be in a situation where you miss out on an opportunity because you just so happen to not follow the directions, okay? So let me read in my comments what you guys are saying about that. All right, cool. All right. And so, we got 5 million in the house. What's going on? Ambitious 1989. Lily Bissy. That's what's going on, y'all. All right, what's going on? Get me into law school. Nancy, hit me up, sis. Hit me up. And so, because I know right now, for a lot of people, we've been kind of trying to get this law school thing submitted before Christmas. And I know that now is a month away, but you really want to find yourself in that situation where you don't want to be going into the new year with not having your application submitted, because then the stakes get higher, the competition gets fierce, and there's actually fewer seats, okay? So here was someone said, I'm not familiar too many terms here. What is CASIC? I've never heard of what CASIC is, okay. All right. Javon said, attention to details is important. Could possibly throw out your app if the smallest thing is not correct. X, you're correct. All right, and Nancy said, what if my LSAT scores are not in? So if your LSAT scores are not in, Nancy, sis, what you want to do is you want to contact the law schools. Every law school is going to be different. Law schools are not one size fits all. And so you want to ask them, my law school scores are not in yet. Will you hold my application? Do not make an assumption, Nancy, that they're going to hold your application because they may just take the score that you have on file. So it becomes important for you to be advocating for yourself to the point of being very, very clear. What's going on, Tiff? So you want to make sure that you're making sure that you're advocating for yourself. One of the things I tell people is think about it like this, Sam. Your first client as a lawyer is you. And so right now, you're advocating for your candidacy and for your viability of why you need to be into somebody's law school, okay? And how you go about doing that is going to be dependent on whether you get accepted or not. Because one of the things I tell people, and people may say I'm wrong, but I will keep it a buck. I think I'm right. I tell people when you do not get into law school, it's not because of your LSAT score. Nope. Why? Because people with low LSATs get into law schools all the damn time. Am I right? It's about our inability to effectively let law schools know that we could be successful. And so that means that the onus and responsibility is on us. If we have low scores, if we have low GPAs, we have to find schools that will admit us. We have to make sure that we're securing letters of recommendations that's going to be able to address those elephants in the room and make people realize that we could do it. And we've helped students do it with low scores as low as 129s and GPAs as low as 2.3s. But it's going to come down to you. Okay, it's not the LSAT score. It's you. And I say that because I've seen people get into schools with so-called low LSAT scores, so-called low GPAs. But it's because they effectively communicated why they should be successful if given an opportunity. Because every law school in the country has given people with so-called low LSAT scores an opportunity. And so what they're looking for is assurances that if you are given that opportunity, fam, that you're going to kill it and knock it out the park. All right? And you can do that because several people before you have. But they're looking to see if, in fact, you're going to be able to do it. And Nancy, my fam, I know you can do it, sis. I know you can do it because every time, sis, you go about selling houses, you go about hustling for your family and making new moves. Those are examples of why you will be successful in law school. But of course, one of the phrases I oftentimes say to a lot of people, and of course, you guys may not like it all the time, is that, but law schools only know what we share with them. Ain't that right, Nancy? I say that all the time and people roll their eyes. But at the end of the day, the onus is going to be on us to be able to show these law schools that we can be successful if given an opportunity. And I see that we got Attorney Amber Hall on. What it do, sis? How we doing?
How are you?
I am blessed. I am blessed. I had to go ahead and I ate my last piece of turkey. You still eating turkey for leftovers from Thanksgiving?
I'm done with I cannot. But you know, I love to eat. I'm a foodie. Anybody who knows me knows I love good food. Period.
Absolutely. And first things first, I want to thank you for taking the time to spend some time with us. I oftentimes, whenever I see any of y'all amazing attorneys doing great things, I always want to extend invitations to you guys to share your stories because there's a lot of people who want to be lawyers too. And they oftentimes say, well, I don't know if I could do that. I mean, I see Attorney Amber, I see Attorney Tiffany Simmons. I don't know if I could do that. And so when they get an opportunity to talk and hear, oh, sis, just like me. Oh, okay. And so I just want to tell you, thank you so much for this because I know it's going to mean a lot to somebody out there who's watching this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm honored to be here. So thank you. And I was that person saying that, I don't think I need to be an attorney. I don't think I need to go to law school. I don't think it's me. I was that person. I continuously talk myself out of attempting to apply to law school. And it was so early in the game. When I reflect on my story and my journey, I born and raised Tallahassee, Florida, and I started playing basketball like in middle school, and I got really serious about it. So ultimately, I played with an AAU team, got really pretty good, got a lot of offers, and got a scholarship to Virginia Tech. My major at VT was business management. Loved it, loved everything about it. My concentration was entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology. So my thought was I'm either going to go corporate, ultimately, be an entrepreneur. Didn't know what type of business it would be, but I knew that bug kind of hit me. And I come from a family of small business owners, so I knew eventually I would get there. Then my dad kept saying, you should really think about law school. Think about it. And it was just something about it. I'm like, I don't know if that's me. I kept saying that. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do. And I think I need to find myself on this journey of business management and kind of go my own way. Nevertheless, took the LSAT, had a decent GPA, right? So my GPA was probably like a 3.8, 3.9. You were talking about test scores. My test score, I would say, was pretty average because I really didn't study. I didn't take the time to, have a course, actually be on a study plan. I just kind of took it. I studied as much as I possibly could, being a student athlete, and just, said a prayer. And thankfully, I was able to get in. I got in at UF Law, but it wasn't something that I planned. It was more so like, well, I think I'm interested. I'll try it.
And one of the things I wanted to interrupt before let's just finish her story. I was like, hold on. So you telling me you can major in anything and go to law school? Because I swear for God, it's a lot of people out there that just think, man, well, I majored in the wrong thing, so it's an L for me. It's a dub. I can't make it happen. So, I mean, you can major in whatever you want?
You can major in whatever you want. You know, a lot of my colleagues, that's what I loved about law school, is meeting so many different people with different backgrounds. So there were people who had 20 years of work experience, and, you know, I went straight through. So that was fascinating to me because they had all this experience working at corporations, or, you know, they were in the workforce and they went back to school. And I felt like in many instances, because they had that real world experience, that helped them a lot when it came to analyzing cases and just understanding certain courses. So many times I'll be in school like, man, I should have got some work experience before I came here. But, you know, everybody has their own path. But yes, you can absolutely major in anything. My major was business management, but I knew people who majored in English, theater, you name it. It doesn't matter. You just need to get the degree. And then ultimately, like you said, you know, study, take the LSAT, got your personal statement. At the time, that was really it, was making sure you had a decent GPA. I think my personal statement did it for me too. Just really talking about my challenges and what I was able to fight through, overcome. I went to Virginia Tech and I was there during the massacre. So that was tough.
Oh man, I'm sure at that time you wish virtual school was definitely an option. Jesus Christ.
Right.
But the thing guys to kick from what she just said is her personal statement was personal. It's oftentimes one of the things that people oftentimes struggle with is being able to open up and share things about themselves, either out of fear of feeling vulnerable, feeling weak, or worried that the law school that they're writing to is not going to be able to accept them. And so how did you get in the space of being comfortable enough to be able to share that moment? Because that was definitely a scary moment. I think those are those moments in life where you always remember where you were when you saw it. How did you go about writing about it and being so transparent and open?
I thought it was important for me to differentiate myself from others, because we all have a story, and, you know, they won't know your story unless you tell it. And, you know, my thought process was like many others, is why would this school accept me with so many people with great credentials? They've got the test scores, they have the GPA. And so something deep down inside told me, you know, show out in your personal statement, because who better to represent yourself than you? So I really did want to be very transparent, very vulnerable, and really, you know, show them who I was, the things that I've been through, how I was able to overcome them, and why I would be a good fit at that school.
And one of the things, Amber, I say, you may be like, Anthony, no, you didn't. No, you didn't say that. But I'm going to see what you think about this. What I tell people, I said, we have to be able to write more about what people see when they see us. You know, when we think about, you know, I oftentimes tell people, we always have our catch essays that we write from college. Oh, I know I'm going to write about, you know, when we see diversity. Oh, let me talk about, you know, my hardships. But the thing about it, one of the things that's amazing about law school now is that we got everybody coming from those same walks of life. And so if you, that essay that we always write, I know for me it was, you know, single parent home, grew up poor, I'm going to make it. That's an essay that a lot of people write. But really getting a chance to challenge yourself to share something specifically that speaks to you. And that's what Amber said to you guys. It's about writing about something that speaks specifically to you. Because last time I checked, Amber, you may say, oh my God, no, you didn't say this. But if you don't write about being a Black woman, is Michelle Obama going to take your Black card? Is he going to revoke it? I don't know. I'm not going to answer that.
Well, so say that you said if you don't write about it?
If you don't write about it.
Right. I mean, I just think you have to write about yourself and who, you know, what do you actually represent? What have you been through? Why is this what you want to do? You say you want to be an attorney, or you say you want to go to law school. Why? What makes you different from every other high achiever out there that is a go-getter, that is smart, that likes to argue, or their family told them that they should consider going to, you know, law school? What makes you different? And so, you know, it could be that you know, many people may say, okay, well, because of my background, my ethnicity, the race, you know, they could go there. But I think it's more so, who are you as a person?
That's amazing. And I hope you guys are writing this down. I hope y'all getting all this little tea that sis is dropping over here. And one of the things that's amazing is go ahead and tell us about like one of the things that oftentimes scare people is now you made it. You're in law school. You look around, and of course, you know, you get that reality check. Damn, I'm still one of very, very few again. But also, what are the things that you had to evolve and transform in yourself to navigate this space? Because I think a lot of people don't realize it's like, oh, it's just starting once you get in.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that first time, Amber, when you read only like 10 pages and you looked at, and when you started reading, it was light outside. And when you looked back outside again, it was dark.
I had so many moments like that. Probably a few moments where tears were rolling down my face, honestly, like just questioning whether or not I should even be here. And if that's one thing that I could do over again, is I would go back with more confidence. I would go back with more confidence because, you know, I think so many times we doubt ourselves, and we should not. We shouldn't doubt our ability to figure things out. We should not doubt our, honestly, our smarts, right? We're brilliant in our own way, and everybody's bringing something different to the table. Maybe it's your communication skills. Maybe it's your analytical skills. Maybe it's your persuasiveness. You know, everyone is good at something. And I personally believe we all have our own gifts and talents. And, you know, so you're bringing that with you walking into law school, and then you get to law school and you get the training and you're learning how to write persuasively and how to read analytically and how to make your arguments. And you're learning all these technical skills, which is great. That's the skill set that you're building. But I think ultimately it's mind over matter. And so you have to walk in there with the confidence that, look, I'm in here. I made it. Like, let's go. And sure, there'll be other people, you know, you got the gunners in there and people raising their hands and being loud and wrong. Let's face it, because we all been there too. People raising their hand and they're the experts, so to speak, but they don't. And then, as you know, when you go to law school, it does not teach you how to actually lawyer. You're learning how to think like an attorney. But just because you aced, you know, civil procedure does not mean you're going to be, you know, the best attorney out there in the future. So I think that's something that people really need to understand. You got to have that confidence, mind over matter. And I think you will be more receptive to learning because you're hyping yourself up. It's like, I can do this. I can retain this. I can understand this. This property class is not going to get me down. But if you already have the attitude that you are defeated, right? The attitude of defeat, it's over. It's over. And it was really a war with yourself. You're at war with yourself.
I've heard some people talk about how literally they feel like all law school is really about is learning yourself.
Absolutely.
And being able to be humble enough to say, I don't know that. All right, but I'm going to be humble enough to say, but I'm going to change and learn so I can know that. But I mean, I feel like really when you look at it, because you learn so much about yourself. You know, the LSAT, I think, is the first point. But then when law school, you got 3 years. Because it's crazy. Because by the time you get to your third year, you're just kind of like an autopilot. Because you now realize not that you're smarter, is that you become more secure in yourself and learning what you need to do to be successful. And you're like, okay, I know what I got to do. Yeah, all right, cool. No groups for me. I know for me, the groups did not work. But you learn what works for you. And so I know a lot of people, and again, the guys who just joined us, we're on the line with attorney Amber Hall, doing a damn thing in Florida. She said, hey. But also one of the things is it's like people oftentimes find themselves becoming overwhelmed with situations they don't have to really focus on yet. And that is, what type of law should I practice? When did you know what type of law that you were going to practice? A lot of people are like, well, I want to practice this type of law. And a lot of times I just want to laugh. I'm like, sis, man, bro, you don't know what type of law you don't practice yet. Just go with it.
I think that's one concession that we all have to make. Thankfully, when I went to law school, I really had an open mind to the point where I came in saying, you know what, I'm not going to practice law. I'm just going to have a non-traditional career in the law. Because I was still skeptical. I was at war with myself in my mind. Like, this really isn't really my dream. Or maybe it is. Or maybe I don't know what I want to do. I was kind of there. But at the same time, it's like, well, I'm here on campus now. And this is the real world. You're here at UF Law. Welcome to law school. Let's go. And so the whole time, like I ended up interning in the athletic department, so the UAA at UF. So because of my athletic background, I was thinking, you know what, maybe I'll get into compliance and work with the NCAA. You're dealing with laws, you're dealing with rules and regulations. So that's a way to, incorporate the legal background. Maybe even being general counsel, working with the NCAA. So I was thinking, I'm going to do something different. Ultimately, I ended up in personal injury. That was my first real job out of law school, and I never looked back. In a nutshell, I never look back. But yeah, I think it's important to keep an open mind because you won't really know what you want to do until you actually start doing it. You have to actually practice it, in my opinion. Some people, and I know a few people who walked into law school saying, "Hey, I'm gonna practice family law or I'm gonna practice corporate," and they're doing it today. So I think it depends, but I know for me, you have to actually do the work, kind of immerse yourself in it, and then you're able to really get a feel for whether or not it's something that you want to do.
Awesome. Now, I want to get to the exciting part because I know one of the things that's amazing about like you pass the bar, after that you then got over that drama. Then all of a sudden you say, you know what? I'm gonna do my own thing. Yeah, how was that process? Because that's amazing. I mean, you got billboards and everything, but oftentimes I tell people it's like the ultimate step out on faith and the true belief in yourself. And of course, you get it a little bit from your family with their entrepreneur background. It's like, no, I'm gonna be my own boss. Right. Figure it out.
Right.
Tell people about that.
Yeah. So it was interesting because I never anticipated that I would ever own a law firm. Right. If I had to go back into time, that wasn't really there. I knew that I would start a business and be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know it would be a legal business, essentially, a law firm. So when I graduated, passed the bar, I ended up working for a personal injury firm based out of Atlanta. And I really didn't know a whole lot about personal injury. Of course, I took torts, but like real application, I didn't know. So I get there, and I mean, it's like a movie. Maybe one day it will be, honestly. I should probably write a book on it. I get there, and I'm working for a firm that's handling a lot of high-profile cases. And basically, I was given a lot of responsibility very early. So I'm fresh out. I get there. My boss is like, glad to have you. Here's your office. You got a deposition at a prison tomorrow. It's like, oh, okay. So I was thrown in the fire. And so within my year, it was easily probably a good 5 years somewhere else because it was just every day was so dynamic. Mm-hmm. Deposition here, write this big time dispositive motion here. You got to go deal with these OG lawyers over here. And so I'm like the young buck. I'm, following my boss around, and I'm just trying to soak up everything possible. Because I recognize, it was no secret. I was like the youngest person there. I was new to the game, but I'm in here and I'm taking depositions, and, my opposing counsel has been doing this for 30 years and they're looking at me like, who do you think you are? I'll show you. So I think what it was just having a chip on my shoulder because I didn't want to be the weakest link. And I knew that that's sometimes the expectation is if you're the new kid on the block, you fresh out of law school. You don't really know a whole lot, but for me, I kind of put the pressure on myself to try to perform as much as I could like a veteran in the game as quickly as possible. So that's kind of.
And then how did you go from there to, thank you for the experience? Because it's definitely, you learned on the fire, but how did he go from there to running your own shit?
At one point, it was just time. And I'm a spiritual person. I prayed a lot, and I knew it was just time for me to make a move. And I didn't want to go work for another firm, but I knew that I wanted to put my twist on it. So my personal brand, and kind of, as I worked at that firm, there were a lot of great things. And there were some things that I said, if I owned a firm, I would do things a little bit different. And this is what I would do. So in my mind, I'm kind of creating this firm and what I would do in order to get there. So ultimately I resigned, and I I did everything that I knew not to do. I started a firm without really completing a business plan, and I knew how to do that, being a business major. I didn't do like a feasibility study. I didn't do any of that type of stuff. I really didn't even have a whole lot of money saved up, really. I wasn't making a ton of money. Certainly didn't get any loans. Frankly, the bank was looking at me crazy when I went in there like, hey, I got a firm. Like, you want to do what? And what kind of firm do you want to start? It was all those questions, and I'm getting the side eye. And don't even get me started when I was telling people, that I knew starting out, hey, I'm gonna start my own firm. You get more side eyes and people are skeptical. But I'm thankful because my parents were like, you gonna start this firm or what? Let's go. Like, let's do it. So, but for me, I say that to say it doesn't matter the resources. And I know it might sound wild. Like, what do you mean it doesn't matter if you have resources or not? Of course you need money. Of course you need to, obviously have some resources. You need to have a way to actually practice and lawyer. You need to somehow figure out how you're going to get clients. You got to figure out quite a bit. Finances, taxes, it's a lot that goes into running a business. But, when I look back, a lot of the things that you really need to be successful are the intangibles, So back to that confidence, back to mind over matter, back to, look, you've been through the fire already. You went to law school. Your back was against the wall, right? It was tough then. And yeah, it's tough now, but it's not something that can break you, only if you let it, right? And so my thought was, I can only fail if I quit.
Ooh, can you say that one more time, please? I know curse today.
Yeah,
but
truly, I can only fail if I quit. And so I know I'm not a quitter. I know I'm not going to fold. Right now, I may not have many clients, but eventually I will have clients. People will understand who I am. They will learn about my brand. And this is going to be one of the biggest law firms that you've seen. Like, I was really like speaking it into existence. Like, okay, once I get a little money, I'm going to get this billboard. And once I get this office, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have staff, but you have to start somewhere. And I don't know. I think it's just being hungry. And like I said, there were so many instances where, people kind of try to play you. You let them know you got a firm, and they're like, well, how's your law firm going?
How's your law firm going?
And
right?
in my response to that, I think I had 2 cases at the time. I was like, it's going very well, thank you. And how are you? Like, things are moving in the right direction. And I think when you speak that life over your life, but over your brand, over your business, and when you put some action behind it. So it's one thing to dream, but then when you put the action behind it, to me, you can't help but have success. You can't help it.
I feel like that, almost hearing you say this, literally what that means, I don't want to get too biblical with y'all, but it's something like faith without works is dead. You can't just say, God, I want it. You gotta put behind it too. And I mean,
you do.
It's amazing. It's just, one of the things I wonder is, a lot of times, wherever people are in their process, they're so consumed with things like LSAT scores and GPAs. I just want to know, when the last time somebody asked you about your LSAT score?
They don't ask you that. So don't worry about that. Even the GPA. People get worried about that. They want to make law review, and that's a great goal to have. Don't get me wrong. But when it boils down to it, they want to know if you can do the work. So if you're not going to start your firm, because I know some people who started straight out of law school, which I think is admirable, and it certainly can be done. Don't let anyone tell you that it cannot be done. It can. You just have to be resourceful. But I think if you're starting out and you do want to go work at a firm, at the end of the day, they want to know about the intangibles. Like you were talking about earlier, what do you do? Forget what I'm looking at on this resume. And trust me, I see it all the time as we continue to hire and people come with all their credentials. And then when it comes down to it, can you really do the work? Are you really adding value? And so I think that's what it is being able to add value. That to me is going to take you where you need to go.
And we got our girl Tiffany over. She said, faith plus works. She always keep it 100 equals life. That's exactly what it is. And so one of the things also is just like, I guess I wonder sometimes, it's like, do you ever sit back and be like, wow, I did it. I mean, I'm not content because, you know, when we get content, we become complacent. But do you ever sit back and be like, dang, like, wow. Like,
Yep. So I do have those moments where I'll just be riding around town and I see a billboard and I'll just kind of smile, or I might be in public and people will say, "You're on the billboard. You know, you're attorney abroad." You know, so it's a great feeling, especially when I'm seeing everyone in the community from all walks of life, children included, that are like, "I know you. You know, I see you all around," and I think it's a great thing because the whole point is to be able to, for me, to make positive, impactful change, right? You want to make a difference and to me be a catalyst for change in the right way. So that was the goal, to help people and to be a voice for the voiceless, but also to let people know representation matters, right? All your lawyers don't look alike and they don't have the same background and they don't have the same experiences. And I think it's important to, you know, find an attorney, like I always tell clients, is somebody that you vibe with. I'm just keep it real. Like, who do you vibe with this attorney? Do you think that they would be able to articulate your case the best way possible? Do they understand your life and your life experiences? Or the struggle for them to understand where you're coming from and what you're going through? And that's true. But I kind of digress there. But, you know, I do think about it. And I think about how we started in my living room apartment. I didn't have this grandiose law firm. I had my couch and I had my dining room table and I had my laptop and I had my cell phone. But I was working. You know, I'm on the phone. And
always stay broken.
Like, I'm the secretary. I'm the paralegal. I take out the trash. I do it all. You know, and it builds character. It builds, you know, confidence. I think that's needed in order to be successful. In a lot of ways, I've been practicing for a decade now. I've had my own firm for 9 years now, and I feel like we're just getting started. Believe it or not, I look at just gradual progression. We went from the living room to a virtual office, from a virtual office to this shared space, you know, from shared space to, I had like a little small duplex on Park Avenue, turned it, made it kind of cute, you know, put my little spin on it. It was like, okay, we're open. And then we outgrew that within a year. And then we moved to another building. And we outgrew that within like a year, really a year, 2 years. And now we're in a larger building. I'm working on getting the interior design together in here. We're hiring, we've grown. So we're we're working the whole state of Florida. So it's a beautiful thing to see, but it also is a lot of work too. No lie. It's a lot of work. And at the end of the day, you want to produce, you want to get the results. Like, that's why people hire you. You know, the bigger you get too, the more people are looking. Sometimes people want to see you, you know, fall or fail. They don't want to see you succeed. And so you have to deal with some of that too. The challenges get greater, new levels, new devils. So, you know, it comes with the territory, but it's the nature of the beast. And I tell people that whatever challenges that you're going through, you are already well equipped to deal with them. The challenge would not be coming your way if you weren't able to handle it.
Nikita, did you hear what she just said? Can you say that one more time? I always speak on Nikita every time she pops in the chat.
So you are well equipped right now to handle any challenge or obstacle that's coming your way. It would not be coming your way if you were not able to deal with that challenge.
Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I mean, and one of the things oftentimes, you know, because I think a lot of times, you know, when we see, even I'm sure when you were in the middle, in the start of your process, you saw attorneys who looked like you, and you just kind of put them on a perch like, wow, I wish I could be like that, you know. But one of the things that I tell people, I said, but once we begin to realize that the struggle is a part of the growth process that we all go through, I guess what's one bit of advice would you give to someone who looks and says, I want to do everything that Attorney Amber Hall is doing? And let's say that they're at a law school applicant level. And, you know, their retake, today I had a lot of people reach out to me, Amber. They were like, man, I don't know what to do. I just got my scores back. I don't know what to do. And I was like, man, I got to make sure when we talk to Amber that there's a lot of people just just think that, man, it's not supposed to be hard, but it. We done had those times. I'm not ashamed to say. There's been days I done cried. There's been days I got frustrated. But like, what did you do when things got hard?
Oh yeah. What's interesting is I've learned to embrace the challenges because I know that once I get to the other side of the challenge, I'm better off.
Yeah.
So we don't run from it. When that challenge is coming your way, understand that you're better off when you go through it. Go through it and understand there's a reason why it's happening, and it's to make you better, it's to make you stronger, it's to make you greater, wiser. And I look at it like this: everybody wants to be at the top of the mountain, but you don't just fall there, right? There's going to be rain, there's going to be snow, right? There's going to be things that will kind of set you back a little bit, but we just keep climbing. We keep climbing. And so if you want to be great, you got to understand the challenges are coming your way. You want easy street, then I don't really know what you're trying to accomplish, because everybody would have accomplished it because it's so easy. But when you have greater goals, be ready for the challenges. And at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the only way that you fail is if you quit.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge that you overcame on your journey to becoming a lawyer?
Ooh, the biggest challenge. Few challenges, and this may help someone. Even once I graduated, it took a while for me to get a job. That was a challenge, because I think as you go through law school, that's the whole point, is you're thinking, I'm about to get this money, or I'm going to do well for myself, I'm going to be gainfully employed, and I'm going to do well. But for a while, I wasn't able to find a job. It was a tough market during that time, and so I was really looking for anything to where I could use my skills. So that was a challenge. Working at that law firm, the firm that I worked, that was a challenge, because I was expected to essentially be a veteran walking in the door, and we know that it takes time to get there. That was a challenge. Easily could have quit. I know a lot of people probably would have, like, immediately, because it was difficult. But honestly, after 1 year, I walked out knowing so much, and I was so glad that I hung in there. So that was a challenge, but I'm just giving these examples because the challenges will come your way. Law school is a challenge, reading all those pages every day, and, worrying about being called on, and what is this, professor gonna say? And when, me tell you, once you get through that part, you'll understand that was cake, okay? Being called on in class is not a big deal. Just be prepared, just do your work, but that's not a big deal. And then, of course, starting a firm, like trying to build a brand, trying to get people to, understand that you are for real. You are a real lawyer, an attorney, and you're trying to build that clientele. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you keep fighting. You keep promoting yourself. You go and you fight. You file I do personal injury, so we file lawsuits. We go up against big companies. It's David versus Goliath every day here. But we win. And so I say that to say, you cannot run from these challenges. In fact, I think you have to embrace them and understand that when they're coming your way, it's for a reason, because it's time for elevation.
Ooh, boy, that's powerful. That's powerful, sis. You dropping some bombs and gems over here. And I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to first tell you thank you so much for taking the time to answer some questions. I know that we have a lot of amazing sisters and brothers out there who are hearing your story and hearing you speak, like, oh, she sound like me. Oh, hold on. She went through challenges? Because, we expect that, well, she on Billboard, so it must be easy for it. Nah.
No, it's not easy. I've been there just like you. And I'm just here to tell you that you can do it. Never doubt yourself. I don't want you to be at war with yourself like I was. I was there, okay? If anything, you should be your biggest supporter. If anything, you have to tell yourself that you can do it. You are there for a reason. The world needs to see you. They need to, there's room for you. Don't let anyone tell you that the world is saturated with lawyers. They'll tell you that. You'll get that too. And people will say, oh, well, what do you want to do? There's so many lawyers out there, and blah, 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 right? But there's room for you. If God called you to it, let me tell you, there's always room.
Boy, Amber, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. I want to, again, thank you for sharing so many amazing words. We got people in the comments saying good stuff. We got people saying amen. We got people saying preach. I mean, this is amazing and phenomenal. And for people who, may have questions, because let's be honest, how can they go about contacting you or reaching out to you?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram, Attorney Amber Hall. So feel free to reach out to me there. Also, I'm going to start something new, like with some Zoom calls. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to try to start something where just kind of answering questions about law school, about the journey. So there's that. Also, website, amberhalllaw.com. And I could also, I think the other information is actually just on my page on Instagram, but feel free to just link in with me. And honestly, I wish everyone the very, very, very best. And know that you got it. And thank you for the opportunity. This is great. I love what you're doing. Keep up the amazing work. So, onward.
And you guys, our community continues to grow. Now listen, she told you guys to reach out to her. So don't be sitting here acting scary now. All right. We all cousins and kinfolks, and we all are here to help you guys manifest your lawyer dreams. I want you guys to be able to understand that you are not in this journey alone. And I'm sure Amber can attest. There were several times where we felt alone in our journey. And that's why we created this community. So we're always one DM away from you guys, because we want to see you guys win. Because if you win, then you're going to set standards in your community that's going to be able to affect all of us. And so continue to fight. Reach out to us. Don't be scared. We ain't going to bite. Ask your questions, because one of the things I found out so quickly in our community is that it may be very few Black or brown lawyers, but we are all looking out for each other. We all want to see each other win. And so please utilize this community. And again, I want to tell you, thank you, Amber. Tiffany in the comments, questions. Thank you, Tiffany. And you guys have a wonderful evening. Keep fighting for your lawyer dreams. Reach out to me, reach out to Tiffany, reach out to Amber, and we'll see you again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. CS2. Peace and blessings, you guys. And again, thank you so much, Amber.
Thank you.